limitations that a student from outside would have. I'm one of the trees in this forest, therefore I'm one of the problems.
And that's another thing we want to bring up. So, what people are.
I think what we need to do is hopefully
talking about their experience.
Hopefully, we give you a little information about the rumors thing. I don't want to interrupt your input and your thoughts about not only what should we have, but what should it look like to represent what we're supposed to be. I like that comment, because now we could go buy a building and gosh, we get it for 50 cents on the dollar, but it doesn't represent what we're supposed to be doing either. So are we getting into a worse situation?
Exactly.
And
yeah, that's a
so
big
I'd like,
part of the. I think you have to look at that in the financial context of attracting students. That's what your business is starting.
I think I'd like to leave you alone so you can go through some of those things. Because I hope we've given you a little bit of information about the rumors. No, we're not going to have the U-Haul trucks out here for you to load up on Monday. No, we're not going anywhere. What we're trying to do is get more spaces for you to move into for the short term.
Yeah.
Those long-term goals really aren't our decision, except how we influence the recommendations that we send out.
Well, I think what everyone in this room is looking for, at least as far as I understand it, is that we're looking for a way to get into that process. And I'd like for you guys to let us know how we can talk. If there's somebody else making the decision, is there any way we can talk to them, or how do we have an influence? Correct.
Get agreement among what should be on the list, not on everything that's on it, but agree on what should be on that list. What should be taken into consideration for that decision from not only just you as a student here, but from you when you came here. What was missing? I put those things on the list. Whether they're empathetic or intellectual, whatever they may be, put all that down, because we all know that brand and color make more difference than taste.
If you were going to develop a sustainable technology and innovation center here, wherever it may be, and whatever size it is, what would be the essential components of that concept? I think that, like Dick is saying, would be really, really helpful. And including proximity to things, if that's an issue.
Yeah, some of the more abstract stuff.
Yeah.
But they're also very concrete things too. I think that the other thing about this, some of the things that I've seen and that I hoped for was everyone likes the hands-on aspect, and you can't get your hands on without enough equipment. But you also need a space where that's encouraged, where you have all of that kind of stuff. And I don't think that's just for the RE program either. I think that's why a lot of people are attracted to OIT, especially in Oregon, the only technical institute.
Yeah.
What's the question about before you go, if you don't mind? We've heard a lot about some really good long-term stuff. Do you have any information on, at least concrete information, that we might be able to help in our decision-making process of what we want to list as far as potential stuff that's going to be coming in the next term or two as far as equipment? Is there funding coming for equipment?
It doesn't feel like we're very coordinated when it comes to equipment, because it's like in the fuel cells course, we did a third world fuel cells lab because we didn't have any equipment or the resources to do anything but a third world fuel cell, right?
Okay.
We were doing fuel cell testing with digital multimeters and clips. I mean,
I don't know.
And then when we do get money, like Tom did, you would think, okay, for our fuel fluid lab, we should have a ZBB. Here's the piece of equipment we need the most, and go right down the list. He gets $5,000, he sends out an email, what should I buy, right? I mean, it seems like if you're going to do a fuel cells course, you should go to Slobodan and say, what are the essential equipment you need to have in order to teach fuel cells?
Okay, you got it backward. We don't, what we do is they say, hey, we're looking for some of this stuff, and we can't get in the budget. Can you go out and scrounge, or can we find some? And that's where we come into it. But the request for the kinds of equipment you're talking about come from the faculty who make out the course outline and set the objectives, and that should determine what you should have in the lab.
I mean, I hate to be negative, because I know someone worked really hard to get the $50,000. But for the equipment that you really need for these programs, $50,000 is going to buy you more scope.
Well, actually, so here's what I don't know. Okay, so Dick's right. The process is that the faculty say what they need for their lab, and then they go after the resource fees, that we pay, basically pooled, and then they go and apply for those dollars. So there is I know for a fact that a fuel cell lab is one one of the things that was funded, and it'll probably be ready for whenever the next time that course gets offered. And Slobodan is who put the request in. So it's exactly what you're saying is happening, it's just that there isn't enough there hasn't been enough
We've been behind the curve.
to move fast enough for all the things we need.
Then getting the students involved there, and then they say, oh, we need this for a course and it's not going to get funded, then maybe the students can take it upon themselves to go try to help find funding or.
Well, I actually think,
Right.
that's why
Your
what
signatures
April's
on a memo.
suggesting, of you guys kind of getting yourselves organized in some way is probably helpful, and then you can talk to the faculty when it's time for, because that happens like
See, I can't
twice
go
a
find
year.
somebody, I don't know
You
what it
can
is.
talk to
Yeah.
them
Right
about
now,
where to put pressure, because they have, that doesn't even go through any administrative channel. That goes faculty to, to chair, to dean, and then they make some decisions at that level.
Yeah.
And if you're vying for funds with every other program in the university. So and I have to say, you have some pretty strong advocates on your faculty here. So they've been doing really, really well compared to some of the other programs. But that's just the competitive environment that we're in. But that's where the pressure has to go there. And that's why it's important for you guys to understand the structure, because otherwise you can't really get engaged at where it's appropriate. But, so that's one process. The facilities will be going up to like the VP of Finance.
So do you think the problem with regard to the lack of adequate lab equipment has the same visibility as the building issue with
Yes.
senior people?
No, it prefaced it.
I
It
absolutely
prefaced it,
think
because
it does.
when we started getting that equipment and stuff, that started taking up floor space, and that meant we had to have more space than what we had.
Well, and actually,
But I
some of
think-
Bob's been, if you haven't noticed,
Yeah.
I mean, he's been getting more boxes every day.
Yeah,
This
well,
is all, he's been ordering all the stuff he got the money for. Now it's like, we don't have any place to put anything, so it's
Now we're
driving the
safe.
pressure to get into the gym. So the gym, Dick's pretty much got that handled, and I think what do you think the timeline's gonna be on that?
Well, I'm gonna put it
I don't know
forward.
for sure, but-
The best we'll look at is probably having it available summer, maybe earlier, but
So that's
I'm not
what we're
gonna-
working on. And then the rest of it, the things he was talking about with some of the other amenities and stuff, that might follow. And then that might hold us, because you're right, the rooms are totally packed in the evenings, but we have some day classroom time open that we can still move into. So that's kind of a short term.
And that's another issue
get a
too,
hold
is
on.
some students are starting, we're getting more traditional students here. Some of us came here all night classes, and these marathon classes, that's another issue, just the setup of it. I mean, that's the kind of input we want to give you guys. No longer just having one math teacher who teaches on Saturdays. The only way you can get your minor in mathematics is if you go to these Saturday classes.
And it's on the other side of town.
Yeah, and it's on the other side of town,
Well,
and you're already
Oh, yeah.
doing a 50-mile round trip for another class that week,
Yep.
And the thing is that
This
that's
will
the
say-
stuff that really has to get surveyed, because we have such a range of students.
Yeah.
We can't accommodate, sometimes we might have to say, we can accommodate, this is a great idea, yes, we can do that, and maybe we can offer this more times. But we're not gonna be able to do everything everybody wants. And, we have a lot of students who are still purely night and weekend students. That's the bulk of our population.
basic-
So we still have to
Camp-
figure out how to balance that
Camp-
dynamic.
Yeah.
that's going on.
Had been.
Had been, oh, okay.
We're even seeing expansion into the data for electronics and software.
Well,
We're
there's
back
a lot of
into-
people
What
going
are
back
the
to
numbers?
school.
How does it work out proportionally with the programs, I guess? That's what I've been kind of curious.
Well, we can find that out
Yeah,
later in
yeah.
the
Oh, okay.
gathering, but what I wanted to
That's a good
know
survey.
was whether if we do come up with some kind of survey, if we should get faculty support and distributing it to students.
We'll have to ask them that.
Well, there was
But
talk-
I'm
Yeah.
sure
Oh,
that
sure.
if it's a critical decision point, that they will help us.
I mean, if we
Yeah.
get together with something that's comprehensive.
Yeah, and
Because part of the problem is, people are getting more and more vocal, but honestly, when I did a survey, I did multiple surveys last
Uh-huh.
I mean, during my tenure, and there was like 35 people that
Yeah.
responded.
Yeah.
And that
That's
doesn't
pretty
help
true.
us much when we
No.
have like 500 students now.
Uh-huh.
We can't even say that has even, any statistical
Yeah.
value.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, you guys actually have to round up the support for
I
a
mean,
survey.
I agree, but if we also have faculty support where they would just mention it, take like the first
Or
10
just-
minutes of the class and say,
That's right.
everyone
Maybe
please
just
show up.
Just asking a class, you know, the day before or whatever, can we take 10 minutes for some student concerns?
Or when they do the
Yeah.
teacher